Well, hi and welcome back to the Healthy Metal Hippie. Today we are here with our friend Kalen Baker. He's coming to us from Calgary. He fronts the band Poltergeist and he's a long-term friend of ours. So welcome and thank you for being here today, Kalen.
How's it going? Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
It's such an exciting day when you get to connect with your old friends and people that you care about. And yeah, I'm happy that you're here. I was telling you before we started, I really admire you
Oh, thank you.
because you, I've known you for a long time, okay? And because our families are friends and I have known you being out there making music, doing incredible things since what? You've been playing shows with bands since you were like 14?
I think maybe like 16 or something.
Okay.
15 or 16 when I started actually playing shows, I think.
Okay. And I mean, even to the point of like, you got some, I mean, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but you got some cool ins too, where you were playing 18 plus venues when you were underage too, right?
Yeah, there were like a few of those shows where like they'd let the underage bands play at a certain time. And then all those shows we had to leave before the show was done. So I'd always miss local bands that I wanted to see. We got
Because,
a couple of those lucky opportunities. Like Broken City used to put those on a lot where they would do like the matinee Sundays. So they'd have like underage bands and do all ages shows and then up till a certain time.
yeah, it's really cool that you got to do that. When did you start playing guitar?
I honestly can't even remember. I feel like guitar's just always been around because my dad played guitar. So I've probably had guitars my whole life. I don't actually remember like specifically when I started playing, but I think I like just got really serious about it when I was like 9 maybe. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't remember. It's foggy. I just feel like I've always played guitar. I can't remember a
Life is a
time.
blur.
I can't remember a time before that.
No, and I think that's actually fair to say. One thing that I think is so cool is while sure you've done a few covers and things like that, a lot of your music is original and you have been writing your own music for a long time. So you've been producing your music for a long time as well as writing it, and I think
Yeah.
it's something really special.
Yeah. I think I started doing that when I was like 15 or 16 as well. I always just had a hard time, even in high school, like finding people to play with because I was like the weird kid into metal and nobody else was into it as much as I was. So I could never find people to play with. So I just learned how to record into my computer and I'd use that to write songs. So I'll just like write two guitar parts. And then like a lot of the early stuff I recorded sounds terrible. And some of that stuff's online, which is embarrassing. But I think just over the years, I've just tried to like learn how to get better at it and like what to do. And it's just like a really fun writing tool and it makes it cheaper to work, like put your music out if you can record it yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, taking it from start to finish, and then it's almost like, it's definitely your baby then, right?
Yeah.
And you put a lot of love into it, even if the early stuff, maybe it's not the greatest. It shows also your progression as a
Yeah.
musician, right? And that's really cool to see.
Hmm.
What was your first band called and what was it
Oh my
like?
God.
It wasn't that White Diamond, was it?
No,
Okay.
it goes beyond that. Oh, this is like already getting cringy to think about.
Okay.
I think the earliest band never actually like materialized into anything, but when I was like in grade 7, so I would have been like 11 or 12 or something.
Yeah.
Like me and my best friend like had this idea like starting a band and we were like really into Green Day and we're just like, yeah, we're gonna start a band like that. So we had a band called Blackout and we never actually had like a full lineup. We always like talked to kids in school who were like, oh yeah, you play drums, you play drums for us, right? But we never really like had anything happen. So it was like just the two of us. But I do remember like some of my parents' friends would throw this big like festival thing at their property in Cherryville, BC. So we'd go out there and hang out and they like built a stage. So we like performed with no drummer. It was like just the song that me and my old friend Kyle wrote in front of just like my parents' friends' whole group for May long weekend.
Okay,
So
but that's kind of cool though.
yeah.
Like when you look back, I know, okay, I can understand why you're like, so cringe." But
Yeah.
can you see from my perspective how I'm like, "That's really cool,
Yeah,
actually."
well, it's just a thing where you remember the time and you remember, like, how serious you were about it, and you're like, "Oh, this is so cool," and then you look back and you're like, "Oh my god." Even, like, my first high school band, like, that was my first, like, real band that was starting to do stuff. We're called Children of the Grave, which we named after the Black Sabbath song.
Right.
Like
I remember that.
yeah, so that was probably my first band that, like, was a band and played. Not that we played very many shows, like, we played the school talent show and
Right.
then, like, another show, but yeah, that was crazy. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
also still really cool, though. Who I don't know. Oh, is that Dave Grohl who said that? Who's like about, kinda kids these days aren't they don't just get into their garage and fuck around and just suck.
I don't know.
But
I don't know that quote.
it's not I mean, that's not accurate, but that's the gist of it,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Is like
kids definitely still do, I can tell you that.
and, where they're like or he's saying, yeah, something like kids are too afraid to just suck. They don't just meet in the garage and they can't play anything, and I'm like, "You're proof that, like, okay, I mean, I don't think you ever really sucked, but I'm a big fan, so I think that you are proof that kids are willing to just to get out there and put themselves out there
Yeah,
just like they used to back in the good old days, if you will.
yeah,
Now it's like now you're doing some big things and it seems to be snowballing for you
yeah,
and getting bigger.
yeah, totally.
So do you want to tell us about your band now, Poltergeist?
Yeah, so I started Poltergeist in 2019. It was kinda just after White Diamond, which was, like, the band I had, like, end of high school to, like, college and stuff, and we were, like, also the phase where we were, like, just starting to do things and, like, play shows. We put an EP out, but then like it was kind of just like fizzling out. And then I had to move away to Grand Prairie for work, which is like 7.5 hours away from Calgary. And it's just like a small oil and gas town. And like it was culture shock. Like I got there and like nobody was really into the stuff I was into. Like there were like alternative kids there, but like really in the same way as me, I guess. Like I'm into like kind of
No.
specific niche things and like I just couldn't meet anybody. And I was working like an office job with all these people who were a lot older than me and like had like lives and kids and stuff. So it was
Right.
like a little weird. There was like nobody to play with. Nobody was into the same music as me. So, and that's kind of when I was starting to like get a little bit good at recording and production because I learned I was already interested in recording and production, and that's why I went to do radio for college because, like they have like recording programs, but you aren't really guaranteed a job out of them. So I was like,
Right.
this radio program teaches some like basic audio stuff and some other skills. So I was like, okay, this is like something where you can get a job and learn some things, I guess. So I learned a little more basics about like audio levels and like EQ and compression and stuff. So by that point that I had moved, I just had a little bit more knowledge. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna like actually try to like tone this recording thing. And I had like the most minimal setup ever. Like I didn't even have an audio interface really. Like I had like a field recorder that I just like plug into the computer, plug my guitar into that, and just I don't know, kind of do what I can with minimal equipment and um just kind of experimented from there.
Yeah, because I forgot about your that you were in radio for a while.
Yeah.
Was it just in Grand Prairie or
I
was
was
did
I was
you
in Grand Prairie for a year, and then I was in Red Deer for a year, and then I just quit, moved back to Calgary.
yeah, you were like, "That's enough of that."
Yeah, I was so over it. I was so over
Right.
like both the like office job life and just the not living in Calgary. And it was during the pandemic, which made it even worse.
Right, that's really hard, and now you're working at a music venue in Calgary,
Yeah,
and you get to be a musician too, and
yeah,
you get to do I love that you're following your
yeah.
path and
I'm doing what I wanted to do when I was 18.
yeah, and now you're 25,
Yeah,
and you're killing it. It's really cool to see. A lot of people are too too scared to do the things that they really want to. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's very life gets complicated as you get
Yeah,
older,
totally.
right? And so it's hard sometimes to be able just to step in and do those things that you always dreamed of. I love that you have had the support and everything to just to follow those dreams, right?
Mhm.
It's something it's very special and I love it because it makes for a happy life. Not necessarily an easier life,
No, that's
but
for sure.
a happy life, I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, yeah, I'm playing in 3 bands now, and it's, like, insane, like, it's so much fun, but I'm also, I had 3 practices in 1 weekend, and I was like, I literally didn't have time to do anything else.
Yeah, yeah, I know. That's a lot. I didn't realize that you were in 3 right now.
Yeah, I just joined a 3rd one, like, a few months ago.
Okay, so do you wanna tell us about the other 2?
Yeah, so, the other 2 just kinda filling my time just because as Poltergeist gets bigger, we're kinda trying to play less local shows. So
Right.
the focus has kinda been on, like, writing, recording demos, and hopefully booking out of town stuff, which again is going slow. So I started a band about a year and a half ago with my coworkers. So we call it Meats because we work at the barbecue restaurant. And it kind of started as a joke. Like there's always like staff who are musicians, to different degrees. And we always had a joke. We're like, oh, so many of us like play music. What if we like started a band together? And we always joked like, oh, it'd be a staffing nightmare if like all of us had to take the night off and play shows. But then over time, it kind of became a bit more serious and we started jamming together and playing shows. And we like at first we were like, this sucks. Like we sound like crap. This is just for fun. And so many people we knew in like the music scene in the bar industry like came out to see us and like loved us. So now if we're playing a
Aw,
show, like it goes insane. And like we're just kind of like 90s indie rock kind of stuff, like Built to Spill and like Guided by Voices, like that kind of sound, like very like DIY rock, I guess. But
that's
it's
cool.
fun. Like it's a singer is like actually our manager and he's never been in a band before. And it's like it's crazy because we all like have so much experience like playing in our other bands and like all that. And then he just kind of gets to like have this expression that he's never had before. And it's been a lot of fun. We get along really well and it's cool. So I've been crazy busy because we're putting out an EP next month. We again like we self-recorded it like I've been doing for Poltergeist. So our other guitar player Dave recorded it in his house and I kind of
Right.
helped him out. And now I'm doing all the mixing and then we're gonna have tapes out and that's coming out next month.
So cool.
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It doesn't have the same like visual like grab that like Poltergeist has. So I find every time I
Right.
post stuff about meats, the only people who like it are like people who already know who we are in like our little circle.
God, I'm
So
making a note.
yeah,
Will I be able to get a copy of Meats?
yeah,
I want Meats.
we're getting like 50 tapes made, but I can put one aside for you.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm in.
yeah, I'm dubbing them myself, so it's gonna be a lot of work, but I'm just gonna like get as much done as I can before the release show, and then have more after. So, well, I'll be able to set one
Yes.
aside.
Oh my god, I love that. That's so cool, though.
Yeah,
And then for your singer to have that creative expression that he's never had, like,
yeah,
it's such a huge thing.
yeah. That's kind of my favorite thing about this band. Like, I don't know, like the music's a lot like easier to play than Poltergeist. Like, so for me, I'm like kind of laid back because I don't really have to practice or do as much. But the thing
Right.
that I like love about it so much is just like we all like different music, but like this is kind of where all of our tastes cross over a little bit, like where we kind of find like commonality. And then I'm just like watching them write lyrics and sing his songs, and I'm just like, this is so cool, especially the recording process, and it's really awesome.
That yeah, that makes me really happy. I was just looking some stuff up. I think it's May is Creativity Month or something like that.
Yeah,
And I'm like, well, you should be celebrating meats and all the creativity coming out of there.
yeah,
I think too, I've found that sometimes I get pull myself away from creative projects, even though a lot of what I do is creative now. But where sometimes you want to separate that kind of work creativity from shit you just fuck
yeah.
around with, right?
Yeah, which, like, as, like, Poltergeist gets bigger, the more it actually feels like work. As much as I love it, like,
Yeah.
everything I do with Poltergeist is, like, it has like, now we have, like, fans all over the world, run a label, like, people know who we are, like, it's kinda grown. So now everything I do, I have to be so particular about, so it's nice to have a side band where it's, like, This is so laid back. We literally get
It's
together,
just fun.
we have some beers, and we just like it's for fun. Like we're not really worried about it being a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes that pressure off of you. And it
Completely.
also just like, it just helps you get all that other stuff out of
Exactly.
you,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Because well, it's hard like writing stuff when you're like, this is really cool, but then you're also like, I've kind of like created a bit of an image and an aesthetic. This doesn't really fit with it. And like
Yes.
I know some people tell you like with your art, you should just like do what you want, have no rules. But I actually kind of think rules and constraints can make you more creative sometimes. Because otherwise it's
Yeah.
like, what's your identity if you're just putting everything you have into one project? Whereas if you segment it and you're like, I'm trying to kind of create this vibe, I think A, you can do a little more with it, but B, it like hits a little bit harder if there's like that intent behind it.
Yeah, I think so too. Intent, that's everything though,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh my god, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
I think you're right having those okay, you're not gonna confuse fans for one by having like this really like, what was that?" kind of moment, right? And I think it's nice. And I mean, there's huge artists that play in multiple bands too,
Yeah. I think that's
right?
just for me, I think that's just the way to really do it if you have like other ideas and things you want to express. Like,
Yeah. Unless yeah, no, I agree. Completely. I'm like, well, maybe if you're like Madonna, but she was still Madonna, but
yeah.
that is kinda
Yeah.
Madonna, right?
Yeah. Or like,
Having
yeah.
going different concepts, different
Yeah.
things, different sounds.
Yeah. Or like Lady
So
Gaga, like
yeah.
that really like works for Lady Gaga, like the kind of person
Yes.
she is. But like, even when she's doing a million different things across like every Lady Gaga album is so different, but it still like makes sense in a way.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Where I do agree, like with Poltergeist, if you were just like, "This is some 90s
Yeah.
alt rock
If I,
sounding," I'd be like, "Okay."
yeah, like it kind of sounds like a bit trite when you like expect a band to sound a certain way and then it's too different. And like I think I kind of struggle with that like on the early Poltergeist stuff because that's what I was trying to do when I started it. Like I came from just wanting to play like Iron Maiden heavy metal kind of stuff to being like, okay, let's mix all these different things. So like yeah, I have a little bit of that and I have a bit of the goth rock and like but I think some of the early songs were so like unfocused and I was like all over the place. But now that we're kind of in this new format where we're actually a band and it's not just me anymore and we have an album
Yeah.
out, I'm like I keep getting such a like clear vision in my head of what I want the next album to feel artistically and aesthetically. So now that's why it's way more work. Cause I'm like, I don't want to just write everything we think of. I want to be like, how can we make all these songs make sense together?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that, and I think it does make sense. For how would you describe Poltergeist for people who are listening that maybe don't know you yet?
We're like post punk goth rock. I always say like it's pretty 80s sounding.
It
Um,
is.
like we're really inspired by like the Cure and the Chameleons and Joy Division and kind of stuff. Like there's a bit of like a like classic heavy metal thing to it just because I've always liked that. But like we're like straight up like a post punk band.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I don't know, I really, really enjoy listening to it, though.
Thank you.
It makes me really happy,
Thank you.
and so it's okay, I'm happy to be a slight fangirl, I don't
Yeah.
care. So there you go. I'm just I like I say, always impressed by what you're doing because it takes a lot of guts. And that's something that some people just don't have. I don't have the guts, so there you
Yeah.
go. But it's it's fabulous. Do you think that along the way, it's kinda helped having the support of your family and
Totally. Yeah.
things like that? I like I say, I've known your family for a long time, and at least from my side, it always seems so full
Yeah.
of love, full of support, and compassion and just understanding and acceptance. And I think it's key to help everybody blossom into the people that they're meant to be.
Yeah. My family's always been super supportive ever since I was really young. Like I think I've like almost taken it for granted because I've like talked to like my other friends who have had less supportive families about their music. And
Yeah.
I'm always like, man, like I really had it lucky to have a family like I did that would like drive me to gigs, take me to concerts to see, like buy me music equipment, be encouraging, like always positive and stuff. Like I've got friends who've been like yeah, my parents didn't want me to make music, or like maybe they're proud of them for making music, but they don't like go support them and stuff. Like my parents come to almost every show, and if they miss a show, they always like let me know, like, hey, we can't make. Like they always know when I have shows coming up. They always try to come
Yeah.
out when they can. Like,
It's really nice because I know a lot of people say, like, "Oh, music is not a viable
yeah,
career."
yeah. No, I've got like
But,
I got friends who like parents have told them that, and it's like,
I mean, for one thing, yeah, it certainly can be
well,
very, very viable,
yeah,
but
it really
it's
depends.
I mean, it's does that's the thing, it's tough,
I think the biggest problem is
but
how expensive it is to do it. Like
yes,
for
that's
for
true.
for it to be viable, you have to be making so much money to cover like the insane amount of costs that musicians have. Like,
No, and I absolutely agree with
because like
that.
even on like a small level, like a local band could make like it's all relative to your like situation and whatever, but like even like a local band could make decent money for pretty little effort. But the
Yeah.
problem is like as you start growing and expanding, everything gets crazy expensive.
Yes. Oh my god, touring costs?
Yeah.
And then people wonder why, ticket prices are up, album prices are up, everything
Yeah.
is up, up, up. But it's
Yeah.
like, that's one thing though. People bitch about the costs of whatever, but you know what? We all are really happy when we're out and listening to music.
Yeah.
Whether it's just like, even if you're in the shopping mall or something
Yeah.
and you've got music playing, or if you're at a restaurant and there's music playing, and like you're constantly being entertained by music and art, and whether it's visual arts or music or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be, right? And why don't artists deserve to get paid?
Yeah, well, even
That's
at
like,
yeah, even at work, like, we always see, like, customers and it's always, like, people who aren't our regulars, like, people who don't come to a lot of shows, but there's you always hear people, like, complaining about, like, the ticket price for a show. They'll be like, "Oh, how much does it cost to get downstairs?" I'll tell them, they're like, $25. Or,
yeah,
like, there'll also be people, like, trying to sneak in or, like, ask if they could get in for free, like, "Oh, I just wanna watch one song," but it's like, no, like, literally the entire door cost goes to the bands and our like, and we got to pay our sound guy too, so I think that comes out
yeah,
of that.
yeah,
But like, the restaurant doesn't make any money for ticket sales at all, and people will
yeah,
complain about ticket sales. And I'm like, and it's even worse when it's like their friends. Like whenever we have like kind of young bands, there's a lot of like kids in their 20s. I'll hear them be like, "Oh, it cost me $25 to get in here. I'm just here to see my one friend's band." I'm like, You're gonna just go see your friend's band and not pay them? Like,
I know. But
is
that's
that what you
that's the thing
expected?"
too. People take that for granted. If I get offered tickets, I'm just like, oh my God, thank you. Like, it's I would never ask for a friend's band
Yeah,
to be like,
no.
can you comp me tickets
Yeah,
or whatever?
like
Like,
asking to
no.
be on the guest list is like kind of such a faux pas. Like, like there's certain like the certain people that you'll always guest list, right? Like
Yeah.
your partner or like or if we're playing in Edmonton, that's my rules. Like if we're crashing at someone's house, they should never pay for entry.
Yeah.
Like there's certain things like that, right? But
No, for sure.
when it's
But
like when you got like a group of 20 friends come to your show and they all want guest lists, like that's such a bad
it's
vibe.
like,
I'm
yeah,
lucky that like most of my friends in the scene don't do that because they understand. But
yeah,
I've like had friends of friends do that, or like one of my bandmates works a door at our venue sometimes, like taking tickets, and she's like
yeah.
always telling me like this person brought all their friends and was asking for guest lists. I'm like, no,
No, I hate that. It's such, as they say here in Britain, it's such a piss take.
yeah,
Like, oh my God, it drives me crazy though. And like, whenever I've been offered tickets, it's extremely grateful. And then you go buy some merch or something, or, you do something to
yeah,
make it up in the long run, right? Because I have friends and stuff that insist, like, no, 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 like you're my guest, and you're like, okay, well, thanks, but
yeah,
it's yeah, I don't know, I don't get that. And like I say, can you imagine if the world went silent and, and there was no more art around, even our billboards and advertising, whatever, if there were no more museums, no more anything, if the world did not have artists, the world would fucking suck.
yeah.
Like, and
And
so
so many people don't realize that. So many people who consume art don't realize that.
Yes. The other thing that also drives me crazy is, like, people I don't really know what the cost of vinyl is in Canada anymore,
It's
but
like averaging 40 and going up.
okay.
So,
Cool.
which is like definitely gone up because when I first started buying records, like maybe 12 years ago, like I was looking like 25 average.
Right.
Like I've literally like, watched the price of vinyl climb over the years.
And you're like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
But so okay, so here I'd say 25 pounds, which would be like $40,
Okay.
um, roughly to say 40, some special, yeah, let's say 25 to 50 is pretty average. And then if you
Yeah.
get like things like, say, it's, I don't know, two LPs and a couple CDs, it might be like 60.
Yeah. Well, I'm
So
like
you're
even
looking at $100 then,
yeah,
right?
like
Like,
I'm even seeing like 50 for some just like regular reissues.
and you're like, no.
And it's not even so much like the smaller bands, like, it's actually insane how much, like, there'll be, like a local band or a touring band, and the records, like, aren't that crazy expensive, but,
Yeah.
like, you're at a store, and it'll be, like, just a reissue of, like, a album that's been reissued a million times, and it's, like, $50, and you're just like, "Dude,
Yeah.
what?" Like, there's no
Like,
special edition, nothing, like, it's just normal.
yes, like, okay, even like these AC/DC reissues that came out, was it last year they came out? I don't know. Yeah, 50 years, and, like, they're gold, but there's nothing else that's cool with them,
Yeah,
and they're about 50 pounds, 40,
yeah,
yeah, I think they're 45 pounds? I don't know, but
yeah.
that's crazy.
The
But the
vinyl
other
industry's gotten very gimmicky over the past few years, like, even with the
God,
colored pressings are cool, but, like, it's become a selling point where they can upcharge for something that doesn't cost anymore. In fact, it's
yes,
sometimes cheaper than black vinyl because black vinyl
yes.
actually is higher quality, and sometimes all those colored prints are cheaper to make.
Yeah, it's so funny. Well, if you haven't heard it, you should listen to our episode with Scotty Hagen, who is the owner of Bellyache Records, and we talk a lot about vinyl, but and all the pressing. He's really cool with all of his packaging and stuff, and it makes me happy. But the thing that drives me the craziest is yeah, all the kids will come in and buy those 40, 50 pound records like nothing. Like, yeah, okay. But then if they go to the local show and they see that the local band's charging 20 pounds for it, then they're like, this is so expensive. And it's
Yeah,
like, you're joking, right? Like, you bought the new Lady Gaga for 40 pounds, but you won't buy this one for 20?
yeah,
And they're, like, right here, and they're gonna sign it for you, and they're gonna be like, "Thank you." Okay. It's so it just blows my mind, though, and why, yeah, why people kinda undervalue, like, local artists and things like that. You're like, they're smaller bands, but everybody starts as a smaller band.
yeah, totally.
Even Maiden was a small band
Yeah.
at one point, right? And so
I remember when
yeah.
Ghost was a small band and people didn't know about them. Like it's insane that they're like a massive icon now. Cause like I remember when they were just like kind of a niche new band that people were like, oh, this is kind of weird.
Yes.
Cause even in the metal scene, it was like a weird thing because they're like, well, this band's kind of soft for where their style comes from.
Yes. And then no, I agree, and now they're, like,
They're massive
huge.
now. Like everybody knows them.
Yeah, and it's,
Like
like,
you see people who aren't even into rock wearing Ghost shirts. Like they've literally become like that big. Like
they're iconic.
exactly. Yeah.
And it's, like, it's cool, but it's wild how people perceive local bands, but then I love like, okay, the example I use a lot, which is still probably not a super great example, but Mother, right? I love them, okay? And I have since almost since they were out, right? And just started making a few waves from Vancouver over to Calgary, right? It's still quite small, and I just love them. And then they blew up on TikTok a few years ago, and now everybody loves them. And like over here, they're getting quite big, and it makes me really happy
That's
because
crazy.
I'm like, you guys, you're getting big here, and they're playing. I don't know, yeah, probably about 3,000 seat venues here, and it just makes me really happy because I
Mhm.
love them so much. They're so freaking good. And, and then just but that's it. So, yeah, okay, I was maybe more of an OG fan, but now I'm just happy that they're everywhere.
Mhm.
and I'll still buy their records, which are reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Do you have big aspirations? Do you wanna be a stadium band one day?
I don't know. I don't really see us being a huge stadium band, but I don't know. You never know. We'll see where it goes. Like I love this band on two others, and like I was a fan of them when they put out their first single. They're so small, and
Yeah,
now they're all like opening for big stadium metal tours. Like they'll be opening for like Arch Enemy, King Diamond, Behemoth. Like they've done these huge tours with big artists, like as the
yeah,
opening band. But now they're starting to do some of their own kind of headline stuff. So they're kind of like moving to smaller venues, but now they're like the big headliner. So like they came to Calgary and Edmonton. We got to open for them both nights, and they're just telling us about how crazy of a ride it's been, all these different tours and stuff. So like
yeah.
that's the biggest thing. Like I don't really care how big the venues we're playing are. I just want to go to a lot of places and play a lot of different things
Yes.
and
To people who are passionate about it.
like festivals and stuff. So that's really the goal more
Yeah.
than anything. And play with bands that I like. Like there's so many bands from all around the world that I'm super stoked on. And I'm like, I just want to play with this band. I don't care if we play to 5 people.
Yes, I agree. With is coming here in a few weeks, and,
Nice.
oh, I really wanna go.
Yeah,
I really,
I think I
really
saw them in
wanna
like
go.
2016.
Oh, really?
It's funny, I never got too into them. I was obsessed with The Satanist when it came out, like,
Right.
I love that one album, but I could
Yeah.
never get into any other album by them. I just love that one so much, so when I saw them, it was kinda before the album they put out after that, so they mostly played The Satanist, and it was really good.
So cool. Yeah, I haven't been able to see them yet. I think I think they were, I wanna say, were they here last year too? I don't know, but I haven't seen them, and I'm like, I think that's on the 12th of April, and I'm like, "Ooh, ooh, I should probably head down to that." I think Arch Enemy's playing later this year too.
Yeah, it was one of the
I
first
need
metal
to go
concerts.
that. They're so freaking good, though. Love that. There's always we have actually such a really cool metal scene in London, and, yeah, it makes me really happy.
It's awesome.
Like, London is, I don't know, it's indescribable just because I find people here still really value music, and, um, it's just really nice to see, you know? People are happy to pay for gigs, happy to pay for, you know, whatever meet and greets, like
Yeah.
signing events, and, you know, they're buying albums. They're just happy, and tickets aren't for, there's a few things where you're like, but tickets generally are quite reasonably
Yeah.
priced,
Yeah,
and
they're insane here, like, we're paying, like, $110 each to see Deftones. From really far away, but I love Deftones, so I'm not missing it. But the cheapest seats are like $70, but they're like the farthest away. And I'm like, might as well pay an extra like $50 to get better seats. But even still, we're like, far away. I'm like, the Saddle Dome's insane
really,
these days. It's crazy.
that's so sad. I mean, yeah, I guess I'd probably expect more around, like, I don't know, $80 if you were, like, further away in the Saddle Dome,
Yeah, well,
but
that's
ew,
like from really far away. Like the cheapest ones we saw were like kind of close to 80, and they were like, you're like on the other side, like far bleachers, nosebleeds. But we got lucky
ew,
because I don't really go to a lot of shows at the Saddle Dome. I usually want to see smaller bands. Most of the bands I want to see don't come here anyway.
yeah.
But we went to Iron Maiden the last time they were here a couple years ago, and
Yeah.
floor tickets were surprisingly cheap.
But
I
that's
think
them, though.
yeah, and I think it was because it was Iron Maiden because those ones for Deftones floor is like over 200. But when we saw Iron Maiden, it was like less than 150 each, and it was like no seating. It was just like open floor. So we
Yeah.
like pushed right to the front, and we were like right in the front for all of Iron Maiden. Like it was the third time I seen
So
it was
cool.
the third time I seen them, and that's the closest we ever got. And we're just like,
Yeah.
damn, this was like actually a pretty good deal for the experience.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, Dimitri and I had VIP tickets, and, um, I would say they were, like, about, I don't remember how much they were. They weren't crazy expensive, and then, like, Ronnie Wood was sitting behind us, and I said, "Hi, Ronnie Wood," and then I got a photo with him. So, you can't beat that experience
Yeah,
because, like, you just don't meet a Rolling Stone every day,
yeah,
and so I was happy, but I don't know, they weren't much more than 100 though, and, like and then you got, like, your merch bags and beers. Dimitri didn't get beers, but yeah, and, but yeah, like, you got all sorts of stuff, and it was great seats. It was, like, on the lowers and only a couple rows up, quite close though. It was nice, and so but just overall, there's lots of shows you can go to for a tenner around here.
Yeah.
Lots of, yeah, like arena shows, yeah, they can be a bit more, but there's a lot too where you'll pay like £50. So yeah, pay 50 for floor, things like that. And you're like, this is pretty decent. It's
Yeah.
really not that bad.
Well, so I like
And
going
I
to shows
think,
at the Palace, like Palace Theater. It's like
yeah,
$50 usually. I don't think I've ever paid more than that for the Palace. So every time
yeah.
there's like a band I want to see, I'm always hoping the show's at the Palace. Like we're gonna go see Mayhem next week, and it's like
Oh,
$50, and there's four bands, and I was just like,
okay.
that's
You're like,
insane.
steal of a
Yeah,
deal.
actually, I think the most expensive one we saw there was Wasp, but that was closer to 70. But I was like, yeah, of
Right.
course they're gonna charge a lot. That's Blackie Love. That's what you expect. But
Yeah, fair
everything,
enough.
everything else there is nice and affordable.
They're coming at the end of September with Armored Saint, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's the tour we saw, yeah. Yeah, they were better than
yeah.
I thought. I remember I was kind of annoyed about that. Some 2 others was supposed to be opening for them. They got kicked off the tour for no reason, and, we were supposed to have a show with them on Halloween because
Yeah.
they had a day off between the Vancouver Wash show and the Calgary Wash show. We were supposed to go to Kelowna with them and do, like, a special one-off Halloween night, and then Wasp dropped them off the tour, like, literally for no reason. Like, I've watched all the interviews where he's talked about it. I mean, like, I even, like, met them and they, like, explained everything to me, and it was, like,
Yeah.
so stupid. Like, they claimed that the band didn't have a good enough marketing plan, even though they were promoting it really well, and most people who wanted to go seemed to, like, wanna go see them because 'cause they're, like, the newer opening band. So
Yeah.
they got their whole tour shit canned, but then it worked out for us because their headlining tour was because they wanted to make up for it because they had already like
Right.
got Canadian visas and booked hotels.
Yeah.
And it worked out in all of our favors in the end. But like, I was just like, it was the weirdest thing watching WAF because I was like, I love WAF so much, but I was so mad at them. I was like,
Yeah, I
fucking
can
assholes.
imagine. Oh my god, yeah, that's crazy though.
Yeah.
I know, I'm excited because I mean, we went to see Armored Saint last year, and it was so good, and I just wanna see them again, really.
Yeah. Yeah. They were fun. Yeah. But like, Wasp was impressive because like, I always heard rumors of, like backing tracks,
Right.
but I think the rumors were, like, kinda exaggerating a bit because there were times where, like, you could tell he was actually singing, like
Oh.
you could, like, hear him, like, breathe heavy between, like, a line or something like that, or, like, he was, like, singing things, like, differently for certain spots, so, like, a lot of that performance, like, was pretty real, and it was cool.
That's good to know because, yeah, definitely tons of speculation about
Yeah,
pretty much exclusively
yeah,
tracks.
yeah, like, I think, like, a lot of the people kinda rationalizing and being like they think the backing tracks were just to kinda, like, help out because like, it's hard being that age and, like, performing that intensely every night. So
Yeah, and,
I
like,
think
because he's had a bunch of health issues too, right? So,
yeah, so I think a lot of the backing tracks were just to kinda, like, support, but I don't know, me watching to be fair, I was really drunk,
you were like, "This is the best."
but me watching, I was like, they're, like they're giving it their all, they're kicking ass, and, like, his whole, like, backing band was really cool to watch too,
That's cool.
there's no other original members of Wasp, of course, but, like, they sounded really good, and they played a lot of songs I wanted to hear too.
That's really nice, and all that really matters at the end of the day is that you had fun
Yeah.
saying, you know? Oh, it makes me really happy, though. But what do you do about you've got a crazy schedule too with 3 bands and all the other work that you do. So what do you do to take care of yourself along the way?
I actually don't know.
You're like,
Just
"I
I
just
just let it
just roll
ride.
with it."
Yeah,
Yeah?
like, it's hard 'cause I work nights, which is, like, a really hard schedule for anybody that work nights, they know.
Yeah.
I gotta do all my chores and whatever I wanna do during the day, and then I'm really limited to, like, when I can see people, which is, like, usually my 2 days off.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know, and, like, I've been trying to go to the gym this year, which actually makes things worse. Because
Right.
on one hand, I feel really good, from exercising, but it's like that's another like 3, 4 hours a week I'm committing to something, and I'm like, but I don't know, I make it work. Luckily with shift work too, like if I'm like really overwhelmed, I can't just drop a shift. Like I'm like I do so much work there that it's like pretty understood that if I need time off, like
Right.
someone will cover for me.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. But it gets to be a lot to balance sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And like, I know, so I do work part-time and then I've got, well, obviously my podcast. I do
Yeah.
production for other podcasts and other kind of freelance work. And,
Yeah.
and then I book some bands and I run a
Yeah.
subscription box. Like, so yeah, like the shit, it adds up
Well, that's crazy for commuting like an hour and a half too. Like
into central London. Yeah.
I couldn't
It's,
imagine that because like feel like I already don't have a lot of time in the day, and like I can walk to work in 25 minutes, and
yeah.
if I drive, it's like 10. So I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine actually having to commute. Like that's kind of why I live downtown. Is like being close to everything saves me so much time in my day to day life.
That would be yeah, honestly, I would like to move closer in. So I live in Essex. I live east of London.
Okay.
And so I drive to the train station. I mean, I have a closer train station that I could walk to, but it can be tough to get there at night
Yeah.
sometimes. So I go to one that's reliable. So I drive there. It's about 10, 15-minute drive and then it depends how the trains line up.
Yeah.
And so in the mornings, they come like every 5 minutes, but if you're on off peak, they're about every 30 minutes. And so then it's just for this one train. So if you miss one, like you're screwed.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. I have to be honest. Sometimes I actually like the commute because I can spend the time either, okay, sometimes I nap on the train
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you can get stuff
and
done during that time, then yeah,
I can work on the train.
that's
I
good.
can
Yeah.
read or just, do whatever. Honestly, lately everything has been so full on. I've been napping usually on the train.
Nice.
So like a quick 15, probably 10 minute, and then I switch for another 20 minutes and then that's okay. But it's yeah, but I like to read or I'll bring out I just got like an iPad mini a while ago and doing that on the train it works well so I can, write my weekly newsletters or things like that. And usually I work on my lunch breaks or I go in early and work at a place nearby. Oh, yeah, but it's full on. And I keep reminding myself, like, well, and my body keeps reminding me as I get older, like, yeah, okay, you need to like rest
Yeah.
sometimes. But it's good though. I like it. It's we were I was telling you before we started recording too, just about I wound up I was working on Sunday and I wound up in the A&E with my son after he cut his hand open. And then I had to get up at like we were there till 1 and then I got up at 5 to be into work for 8 and I went out and saw the Sex Pistols and then had to go back for 8 the next day. But sometimes, like these, I don't know, it's just life, and these are the experiences and the fun of life. And I really, for a few times every now and then, bring on the tired, I'm all in,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of how it goes. That's a good thing, though. So, what have you guys got planned then? You're working on some new music right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kinda, like, not booking any shows, like, we've been offered a few, but we're just I don't know, we're just, like, only really gonna take something if it's, like, an out-of-town band I'm really stoked on because I'm like, I just wanna work on new stuff. I don't wanna play any local shows until we have new songs, so I'm kinda just
Right.
saying no to everything until we've gotten a bunch of stuff and, like, kinda practice, and it's hard 'cause our guitar player lives in Edmonton too, so, like, we probably only get together with him, like, once every 2, 3 months. So, like, the rest of us are just trying to, like, get together when we can and then see him when we can, so it's just, like, a slow process, but my biggest focus for this year is trying to get to Europe. We're trying to sort out this potential festival and tour because I really want that to happen, and if it doesn't, maybe we'll try to book a little Canadian thing. So it'll be easier anyway.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a little bit
But
easier for
yeah,
so many, but we
yeah,
want you over here in Europe
yeah. I know. I
because
want to go over there.
honestly, it makes sense for your music, I think, because I
Yeah,
do think you guys would be like a big hit over here,
yeah. Well,
so
like all the biggest bands I'm influenced by are generally from the UK.
yay! We're doing many things right,
Yeah,
and metal is one.
yeah. Well, like mostly back from like the late 70s, early 80s. Like
Yeah.
that era of England is like where most of my favorite music kind of came from. So I've always,
You can hear that influence though
yeah.
in your stuff, for sure.
Because even the bands that I'm influenced by that are newer and like not from that country or era are like also influenced by that.
Right.
It's just like,
So it kinda makes sense, but yeah, I think your sound, it absolutely fits right in.
yeah. And like I know we have a lot of fans like in Europe. Like every time I'm sitting March out, it's like usually to Germany. So we,
Why am I not surprised by
yeah,
that?
I know. Well, even in the beginning, like when I first started putting up the early demos, like I put
Yeah.
them up on Bandcamp thinking nobody would really care. And then I kind of built some traction. So I made tapes and like most of them went to Germany. And that was 5 years ago.
How cool is that
So
though?
like now that we have an album out, it's like just even more stuff going to Germany. Like I'm always sending stuff to like it's all over the country too. Like it's not just like it's not like it's all Berlin or something. Like
Right.
it'll be all these like towns in Germany I've never heard of, like small towns in Germany.
Oh my god, I love that. That's so cool. Germany is, like, the best place for
Yeah.
metal.
So we're all just like willing it. We're like, we have to go, has to happen this year.
Yes. Oh my god. Well, you have to tell me if it does, and then I'll have to just go over to Germany for a minute to see.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or you're gonna have to stop in London, which we
Yeah.
hope.
Which we'd also love to do.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And so, I think, because I do think, again, he'd be quite a hit over here. So looking forward then to hopefully some European dates this year and, maybe some new music as well.
Mhm.
And so if people want to find you online and check you out and connect with you, what is the best place to do that?
Instagram's probably the best. I feel like Facebook kind of sucks these days. So I don't like use it to promote as much as I used to. I kind of just copy and paste the same post from Instagram, but I'm a lot more active on there really. And then our music's on like Bandcamp and Spotify and like all the other streaming services.
Yes, and you can buy your music on Bandcamp because you still have some
Yeah.
physical
But yeah,
copies
we
available,
have
right?
tons of records still, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And a lot of that like is also like on the Metal Blade store as well.
Right. Oh, okay, perfect. So, Kaylin, is there anything else that you would like the listeners to know today?
I don't know. It's pretty
No?
open, pretty open.
It is. What should you tell them? I think, again, if you haven't listened to Poltergeist at this time, you definitely need to because it's way cool, way way cool. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Kaylin. I really appreciate it, and we will speak to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Talk to you later.
Yeah, talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.